The glass shattered against the kitchen tile, a jagged scream of crystal that echoed the fracture in my chest. Red wine bled across the floor, pooling around my bare feet like a crime scene. My daughter, Lila, froze in the doorway, her small hands clutching a stuffed rabbit, eyes wide with the kind of fear that only comes from seeing your mother unravel. I didn't mean to drop the glass. I didn't mean to scream. But the text on my husband's phone, lit up on the counter like a confession, had clawed into me. Miss you already. Same time tomorrow. The sender's name was a stranger's. A woman named Elise. I forced a smile for Lila, the kind that felt like lying with my whole body. Sweetie, go back to bed. Mommy's just clumsy tonight. My voice trembled, a traitor to my calm. She hesitated, then padded away, her footsteps soft against the hardwood. I knelt, picking up shards of glass, each one biting my fingers as my mind replayed the message. It wasn't proof, I told myself. Could be a colleague, a friend, a misunderstanding. But the weight in my gut knew better. It always did. Mark was upstairs, showering. The hiss of water through the pipes was a distant hum, a reminder of how normal this night was supposed to be. Dinner dishes still sat in the sink, the air heavy with the scent of roasted garlic and betrayal. I'd found his phone by accident, left face up while I cleared the table. One glance, and my world tilted. I wanted to storm upstairs, fling the phone at him, demand answers. But something colder took hold, a need to know more, to unravel the truth thread by thread before it unraveled me. I wiped my hands on a dish towel, the blood from a small cut smearing crimson against the white cotton. The phone sat there taunting me. I unlocked it. His password was our anniversary, a detail that now felt like a cruel joke. The message thread with Elise was short but damning. You make it hard to focus at work. Can't stop thinking about last night. My stomach churned, bile rising as I scrolled. No explicit confessions, but the intimacy in their words was a blade twisting deeper with every line. I set the phone down, my hands shaking, and poured another glass of wine. This one I drank. The next morning, Mark kissed my forehead as he left for work. His routine so polished it made my skin crawl. Love you, Sarah, he said, his voice warm, familiar. I nodded, my throat too tight to respond. Lila was at the table, spooning cereal, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I watched him drive away, his taillights fading into the dawn, and wondered how long he'd been lying. Days, months, years. The thought was a splinter in my mind, festering with every memory I replayed. Late nights at the office, his sudden interest in weekend work trips, the way he'd started locking his phone. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I became a detective in my own life, searching for clues in the mundane. I checked his coat pockets while doing laundry, finding a receipt for a coffee shop we never visited. I listened to his calls from the hallway, catching fragments of laughter that didn't belong to me. Each discovery was a pinprick, small enough to dismiss but sharp enough to bleed. I told myself I was overreacting, that love meant trust, that I was paranoid. But doubt is a slow poison, and I was drowning in it. Days bled into weeks. I stopped sleeping, my nights spent staring at the ceiling, imagining Elise, her face, her voice, the way she might touch him. I pictured her as everything I wasn't, younger, freer, unburdened by a decade of marriage and a child's needs. I hated her, but I hated myself more for not seeing it sooner. Mark noticed my distance, my clipped responses. You okay, babe? He'd ask, his brow furrowed with concern that felt like mockery. I'd nod, smile, lie. I was waiting, though I didn't know for what. The truth came on a rainy Tuesday, as truths often do, quietly, without fanfare. Lila was at a sleepover, and Mark was working late. I drove to his office, my hands gripping the wheel, rain smearing the windshield like tears. His car wasn't there. I don't know why I went to the coffee shop from the receipt, but I did. And there they were, in a corner booth, his hand on hers, their laughter a private world I wasn't invited to. Elise was real, not a ghost in my head. She was brunette, sharp-cheeked, her smile cutting me from across the room. Mark leaned in, whispering something that made her laugh again, and I felt my heart splinter. I didn't storm in. I didn't scream. I sat in my car, rain hammering the roof, and cried until my chest ached. The pain wasn't just heartbreak. It was humiliation, the realization that I'd been a fool, that I'd loved someone who didn't exist anymore. But beneath the hurt, something darker stirred. Anger, cold and precise like a blade being sharpened. I played the part of the oblivious wife for 2 more weeks. I cooked dinners, kissed him goodnight, let him think he was safe. But I was planning. I hired a private investigator, a quiet man with tired eyes who confirmed what I already knew. Hotel receipts, late-night texts, a life I wasn't part of. I gathered evidence like a general preparing for war, each piece a brick in the wall I was building around him. The confrontation came on a quiet evening, Lila asleep upstairs. I set the table with the care of a ritual, placing his phone beside his plate, the damning texts open for him to see. When he walked in, his smile faltered. "What's this?" he asked, his voice tight. "Tell me about Elise," I said, my tone calm, deadly. The air thickened, the silence between us a living thing. He stammered, denied, then deflected. His words a clumsy dance of guilt. But I had the receipts, the photos, the truth. I laid them out like cards in a game he'd already lost. His face crumpled, and for a moment I saw the man I married. Vulnerable, human, flawed. He begged for forgiveness, swore it was a mistake, that he loved me. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But love can't survive a lie that big. I didn't destroy him, not in the way I'd imagined. I didn't scream or throw him out. Instead, I let him stay, let him think we could rebuild. But I was done. I met with a lawyer the next day, quietly transferring assets, securing my future and Lila's. When I served him the divorce papers, his shock was almost satisfying. "You said we'd work through this," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I lied," I said, and walked away. The twist wasn't the betrayal or the divorce. It was me. I'd always been the good wife, the one who forgave, who compromised. But in that coffee shop, watching him with her, I realized I'd betrayed myself long before he did. I'd ignored the signs, the gut instinct, the quiet voice that knew. The real destruction wasn't his life. It was the version of me who'd let love blind her. I burned that woman to the ground and walked away stronger, sharper, free.